The alarm screamed through the Mars orbital station at 0600 hours. Captain Yuna Kang was already running before her feet hit the cold metal floor. She had been a pilot for 6 years, and her body knew the sound of real danger. All pilots to fighters. This is not a drill. The voice over the speakers belonged to Commander Reeves, and Yuna could hear the fear in it. That scared her more than the alarm. She pulled on her flight suit as she ran down the corridor. Other pilots rushed past her, their faces pale. Lieutenant Hyunwoo Nam caught up to her, his breathing heavy. "What's happening?" he asked. "I don't know," Yuna said. "But it's bad." They reached the hangar bay and stopped. Through the massive windows, they could see space. But it wasn't empty anymore. Hundreds of ships hung in the darkness, ships that hadn't been there 10 minutes ago. They were huge, black, and covered in sharp angles that hurt to look at. "Gods," Hyunwoo whispered. Yuna's communication device buzzed. Her brother's face appeared on the small screen. Taeyang looked older than his 32 years, dirt on his face and explosions lighting up the background behind him. "Yuna, they're hitting Earth," Taeyang said quickly. "Seoul is under attack. Tokyo, New York, Moscow, everywhere at once. We don't know who they are or what they want. They just started killing." "Taeyang, get out of there," Yuna shouted. "I'm leading evacuations," her brother said. His eyes were steady, even as buildings collapsed behind him. "I need you to stop whatever's coming from space. Protect the evacuation ships." "I will," Yuna promised. "I know you will, little sister." "And Yuna?" Taeyang smiled, that same smile from when they were children. "I'm proud of you." The connection cut off. Yuna stared at the blank screen for 3 seconds, then shoved it into her pocket and ran to her fighter. The cockpit sealed around her with a hiss. She ran through the startup sequence faster than she ever had before. Around her, 20 other fighters powered up. It wasn't enough. Not against hundreds of enemy ships. "Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Leader," Yuna said into her radio. "Form up on me. We're going to buy Earth sometime." "Copy that, Leader," Hyunwoo responded. His fighter pulled up beside hers. They launched into space. For a moment, everything was silent. Beautiful. Earth hung below them, blue and white and perfect. Then the enemy ships opened fire. The first wave of human fighters died in seconds. Yuna watched 12 of her friends vanish in bright explosions. She screamed and pushed her fighter into a dive, dodging red energy blasts that tore through space where she had been. "They're too fast," someone yelled over the radio. "Break formation! Use the debris," Yuna ordered. She spun her fighter around a piece of destroyed station, using it as cover. Her targeting computer locked onto an enemy ship. She fired. Her missiles hit, but barely scratched the black hull. The battle lasted 3 hours. It felt like 3 years. One by one, human ships fell silent. Yuna's fighter took hit after hit. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. Her left engine was gone. Life support was failing. "All remaining fighters, retreat to Luna," the order came. "Earth has fallen." Repeat, "Earth has fallen." Yuna looked at her screen. Of 20 fighters, only 2 remained. Hers and Hyunwoo's. "Yuna, we have to go," Yu said softly. She looked at Earth. The planet was covered in dark clouds now. Cities burned. She could see the fires from space. 3 billion people had lived there this morning. How many were left? Yuna. Hyunwoo's voice was urgent. An enemy ship appeared in front of them. It was massive, shaped like a blade. Weapons charged along its hull. Hyunwoo's fighter moved between Yuna and the enemy. "Go," he shouted. "Tell them we fought. Tell them we tried." "Hyunwoo, no." His fighter exploded in a ball of fire. The blast wave hit Yuna's damaged ship and sent it spinning. She lost consciousness as her fighter tumbled through space. When she woke up, she was on Luna. Her fighter had crashed into the landing bay, smashing through 2 walls before stopping. Medical teams pulled her from the wreckage. Everything hurt. She could taste blood. "Captain Kang, can you hear me?" A doctor shined a light in her eyes. "Earth," Yuna said. Her voice was rough. "My brother, Hyungwoo, did they—" The doctor looked away. That told Yuna everything. She pushed past the medical team and stumbled to a window. Luna Colony was underground, but observation rooms let people see the surface and space beyond. She pressed her hand against the glass. Earth looked wrong. The clouds covering it were green now, not gray. Green like poison. Like death. What did they do? She whispered. "Biological weapon," someone said behind her. A woman in a white coat approached. She looked exhausted. "They released something into the atmosphere. Our scientists say it's designed to kill all oxygen-breathing mammals. Everyone on Earth should be dead within 72 hours. Should be? We're getting strange reports," the woman said. "Some people aren't dying. Some are changing. We don't understand it yet." Yuna watched her homeworld spin slowly in space. Somewhere down there, Taeyang was still fighting, still trying to save people. If anyone could survive, he could. "Who are they?" Yuna asked. "The enemy? They call themselves the Vorath," the woman answered. "They've conquered 40 star systems. They consider humans to be prey. Weak. Easy to kill." She paused. Their general sent a message. He said humans can't survive what they've released. He said we'll all be dead by next week. Yuna's hands curled into fists. Pain shot through her broken ribs, but she didn't care. She thought of Hyen Wu's smile, of Taeyang's pride, of Earth burning below. "He's wrong," Yuna said quietly. "What?" Yuna turned to face the doctor. Her eyes were hard. "He's wrong. We're not dead yet. And as long as one human is still breathing, we'll fight. We'll adapt. We'll survive." She looked back at Earth. "Tell your scientists I volunteer for anything they need. Any experiment. Any risk. Whatever it takes." The doctor nodded slowly. "What's your name, Captain?" "Yuna Kang," she said. "And I'm going to kill every single one of them." On Earth, in the ruins of Seoul, Taeyang led 50 people through underground tunnels. Above them, Vorath soldiers searched the rubble. Taeyang's lungs burned from the poison air, but he was still breathing, still moving. "Keep going," he told the survivors. "We're not dead yet." In space, the Vorath general stood on the bridge of his command ship. He looked at Earth through the viewport. Soon, this planet would be empty. Just another easy conquest. He smiled. Humans were so weak. He had no idea how wrong he was. 3 weeks had passed since Earth fell. Yuna stood in Dr. Narisong's laboratory, deep beneath Luna's surface. Screens covered the walls, showing data that Yuna didn't fully understand. But she understood the important part. "You're telling me we're evolving?" Yuna asked. Dr. Nari nodded. She was younger than Yuna expected, maybe 28, with tired eyes that hadn't seen sleep in days. Not just evolving, adapting at a speed that shouldn't be possible. The Vorath weapon was designed to target mammalian respiratory systems. It should have killed everyone in 72 hours. But it didn't, no. Nari pulled up an image on the screen. Human immune systems are incredibly adaptive. When the Vorath toxin entered our bodies, our cells treated it like a disease. They started fighting it, changing. Some people died. Many died. But others, she trailed off. Others changed. Yuna finished. Yes, we're seeing humans survive without oxygen for longer periods. Increased strength. Faster healing. Radiation resistance. It's like the toxin triggered something in our DNA, something that was always there but dormant. Yuna thought about her brother. She hadn't heard from Taiyang since the invasion, but deep in her chest, she felt he was alive. If anyone could adapt and survive, it was him. Can you make it faster? Yuna asked. The adaptation. Can you enhance it? Nari hesitated. Maybe, but it would be dangerous. We'd be combining human biology with Varath technology. The test subjects might die. Or worse, I volunteer. Captain Kang, you don't understand what I'm saying. This could kill you, or change you into something not quite human anymore. Yuna looked at her hands. They were scarred from the crash landing 3 weeks ago. She thought about Hyunwoo, about the 12 pilots who died in the first minutes of the battle. I understand perfectly. How many subjects do you need? At least 20 for viable data. You'll have 50 by tomorrow, Yuna said. Every pilot who survived wants to fight back. Give us the tools to do it. The next day, Yuna lay on a cold metal table. 20 other volunteers surrounded her on similar tables. Needles connected to strange machines pumped green liquid into their veins. The liquid burned. How are you feeling, Captain? Nari's voice came through speakers. Like fire, Yuna gasped. Her whole body felt like it was being torn apart and rebuilt at the same time. Is this normal? Unfortunately, yes. Your cells are being forced to adapt. It will hurt for approximately 6 hours. It hurt for 8. Yuna screamed. Others screamed. 3 people died on the tables, their bodies unable to handle the change. But 17 survived. And when Yuna finally sat up, everything felt different. She could hear the humming of electricity in the walls, could see individual dust particles floating in the air. Her muscles felt coiled, ready to explode with strength she'd never had before. How do you feel? Nari asked, holding a scanner near Yuna's face. Yuna jumped off the table and landed 15 feet away. She hadn't meant to jump that far. Strong, she said. Over the next 2 weeks they trained. Yuna learned the limits of her new body. She could hold her breath for 20 minutes. Could lift 3 times what she used to. Her reflexes were faster than any human should be. The others who survived showed similar improvements, each slightly different. News came from Earth. Minho Choi's voice crackled over a salvaged radio frequency. He was a civilian before the war, worked in construction. Now he led a resistance cell in the ruins of Bison. We're still here, Minho's voice said. Hundreds of thousands of us, maybe millions, hiding in tunnels and ruins. The Vara search for us, but we're getting good at hiding and killing them when we can. How are you surviving? Colonel Jiwan Lee asked. She was the highest-ranking officer left, a hard woman who'd seen 3 wars before this one. We're breathing the poison air now, Minho said. It doesn't kill us anymore. It makes us stronger. We don't need much food or water. We can hide in places they can't reach. And Colonel? We found something. The Varath, they're perfect. Their biology hasn't changed in millions of years. They don't adapt. They just conquer and move on. Yuna leaned forward. You're saying they have no experience fighting an enemy that changes? Exactly, Minho replied. They've never needed to adapt because they were always stronger than everyone they fought. But we're not staying the same. Every day, we're different. Better. They don't know how to fight that. Colonel G1 looked at Yuna. How soon can Ghost Squadron fly again? Give me 2 days, Yuna said. We need to test the new fighters. The new fighters were smaller than the old ones. Sleeker. Built using captured Morath technology combined with human engineering. Most importantly, they were designed for pilots with enhanced abilities. Normal humans couldn't handle the G-forces these ships could pull. Yuna strapped into the cockpit and felt the ship respond to her thoughts. Neural interface, Nari had called it. The ship was part of her now. "Go Squadron, check in," she said over the radio. 5 voices responded. All that was left of the original 20. But they were enough. "We're hitting the supply depot on Titan." Colonel G1's voice came through. "Vorath intelligence says they store weapons and fuel there. Destroy it." The flight to Titan took 6 hours. They moved silent through the darkness, using asteroids for cover. Yuna's enhanced eyes could see the Vorath depot ahead, a massive structure floating in orbit around Saturn's largest moon. "Remember," Yuna told her squadron, "we're not trying to fight fair. We're trying to survive. Hit fast. Hit hard. Don't stay in one place." They attacked like ghosts. Yuna's fighters screamed past the depot's defenses before the Vorath could react. Her missiles tore into fuel storage tanks. Explosions ripped through the structure. Vorath fighters launched, but they were too slow. The human pilots moved in ways that should have killed them, pulling turns that would have crushed normal humans. But they weren't normal anymore. "This is for Hyunwoo," Yuna whispered as her weapons locked onto an enemy fighter. She fired. The Vorath ship exploded. The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, the depot was gone and all 5 human fighters were heading home. They hadn't lost a single pilot. On the Vorath command ship, General Vex still watched reports with growing confusion. Humans should be dead. The weapon was perfect. Tested on 40 other species. It had never failed. "How many humans are left?" he demanded. His science officer checked the data. "Scans show approximately 3 billion, General. Down from 14 billion. But the toxin should have killed them all by now." "Yes, General. It should have." Vaxthil's 4 eyes narrowed. "Send more ships. Double the hunting parties on Earth. These humans are just lucky survivors. We'll crush them like we crushed every other species." But in the back of his mind, a small doubt grew. What if luck had nothing to do with it? On Luna, Yuna stood before 200 volunteers. They would undergo the enhancement process tomorrow. Behind her, Colonel G1 had a map of the solar system showing Vorath positions. "They think we're beaten," Yuna told the crowd. "They think we're prey. They're wrong." She held up a small chain around her neck. Hyenwoo's identification tags. "We're not prey. We're survivors. And we're going to teach these invaders what that means." The volunteers cheered. For the first time since the invasion, Yuna smiled. They had a chance. A small one. But humans had beaten worse odds before. They would do it again. 6 months after the invasion, the war had changed. Yuna's Ghost Squadron flew through the asteroid belt, their ships nearly invisible against the dark rocks. They'd learned to fight like shadows. "Contact," her sensor officer whispered over the radio. "Vorath, supply convoy. 3 transport ships. 5 escort fighters." Yuna calculated quickly. Normal military tactics said don't engage. You're outnumbered. But normal tactics didn't work anymore. "Soman, are the packages ready?" Yuna asked. Engineer Soman Beek's voice came through with a laugh. "Oh, they're ready. Our little friends are very excited to meet the Vorath." The packages were small automated ships filled with something the Vorath had never encountered before. Earth bacteria, viruses, microscopic life that had evolved over billions of years to survive anything. The Vorath had created perfect, sterile environments. That was their mistake. "Deploy on my mark," Yuna said. Her fighter drifted closer, using an asteroid shadow. 3, 2, 1, mark. The packages launched from hidden positions. They looked like debris, nothing important. The Vorath convoy ignored them. Then the packages attached to the transport ships and released their cargo. Within minutes, Vorath crews were choking. Their perfect air systems couldn't filter out organisms they didn't know existed. Their medical technology had no cure for Earth's common cold, and these weren't common colds. Transport 1 is breaking formation, someone reported. Life signs failing. Good, Una said coldly. Go squadron, light them up. They attacked while the convoy was confused. Una's missiles destroyed 2 escort fighters before the Vorath could respond. Her pilots moved like water, flowing around enemy fire, striking from unexpected angles. The battle ended in 4 minutes. 3 Vorath transports drifted dead in space. 5 escort fighters were debris. Ghost Squadron had 0 casualties. That's 18 convoys this month, Soman said as they regrouped. They're going to figure out our tactics eventually. Then we'll change tactics, Una replied. That's what humans do. On Earth, Minho Choi pressed himself flat against a destroyed building as Vorath soldiers marched past. His breathing was slow and quiet. He'd learned to make himself almost invisible. The soldiers were searching for his resistance cell. They'd been searching for 3 days. But Minho and his people had already moved to the underground tunnels. The Vorath would find nothing but empty buildings and traps. Beside him, Yoon Ji-han waited with her rifle. She was 23, had been a college student before the war. Now, she was the best sniper in the resistance. She'd killed 17 Vorath officers in the past 2 months. Third building on the left, Yoonji whispered. Commander with 2 guards. Minho looked through his scope. The Vorath commander was tall, maybe 8 feet, with armor that should stop any bullet. But Yoonji's bullets were special. Designed by Soman, made from Vorath technology turned against them. Take the shot when ready, Minho said. Yoonji's breathing stopped. Her heartbeat slowed. The rifle barely made a sound when it fired. The bullet flew across 300 meters and punched through the commander's helmet. He dropped without a sound. The guards looked around, confused. They couldn't figure out where the shot came from. Yoonji was already moving, sliding back into the shadows. She and Minho would be 2 miles away before the Vorath figured anything out. That's 3 commanders this week, Minho said as they ran through underground passages. They're going to start getting scared. Good, Yoonji said. Fear is a weapon too. In the outer solar system, Commander Ji-hoon Yoon watched his sensors carefully. He'd been a submarine commander before the war, hunting enemy ships in Earth's oceans. Space wasn't so different. Dark, cold, full of places to hide. His ship, the Wanderer, drifted near Neptune's orbit. It looked dead. All systems powered down. But inside, 40 crew members waited silently. Vorath patrol approaching, his sensor operator whispered. Same route as yesterday and the day before. Predictable, Ji-hoon muttered. The Vorath were efficient, but efficiency meant patterns. Patterns meant vulnerability. Weapons, prepared the torpedoes. Navigation, calculate firing solution. The Vorath ship passed within 500 meters. Close enough. Ji-hoon's crew launched 6 torpedoes and powered up the engines simultaneously. The ship came alive and accelerated away before the Vorath could respond. Behind them, explosions lit up the darkness. The enemy ship broke apart, spilling atmosphere and bodies into the void. Jump successful, navigation reported. We're clear. Ji-hoon allowed himself a small smile. Mark the location. We'll hunt here again in 3 weeks. On the Vorath command ship, General Vextel studied casualty reports with growing anger. 23 supply convoys lost. 52 patrol ships destroyed. 300 officers assassinated on Earth. And humans were supposed to be extinct. How is this possible? He demanded of his officers. We are superior in every way. Our technology is millions of years advanced. Our warriors are bred for combat. How are these weak creatures surviving? One officer, braver than the others, spoke carefully. General, Our intelligence suggests the humans are adapting to combat conditions. They do not fight as they did before. They use guerrilla tactics, psychological warfare, biological weapons we cannot counter. Impossible. Species do not adapt that quickly. Nevertheless, General, the data shows Vextal silenced him with a gesture. Send this to the High Command. Tell them I need more ships. More soldiers. If humans want to hide like insects, we will burn every rock in this system until we find them all. Back on Luna, Colonel Jiwan Lee gathered the human commanders for a meeting. Yuna attended via hologram from her fighter. Minho's face appeared on screen from Earth. Ji-hoon connected from his ship. Dozens of others joined, faces tired but determined. Status report, Jiwan said simply. Ghost Squadron has disrupted 18 supply lines, Yuna reported. Varath forces in the inner system are running low on ammunition and fuel. Earth resistance has eliminated 73 high-value targets, Minho said. Varath occupation forces are stretched thin. They're scared to patrol at night now. Outer system attacks are on schedule, Ji-hoon added. We've destroyed 42 ships in the past month. They're pulling back from Neptune and Uranus. Ji-won nodded. Good, but it's not enough. We're winning small battles, but there are still thousands of Varath ships in our system. We need something bigger. Dr. Nari's image appeared on the screen. I may have something. We've been studying captured Varath soldiers. Their biology is incredible. Engineered to perfection over millions of years. But that's also their weakness. Explain, Ji-won said. They cannot adapt, Nari continued. Their immune systems are designed to fight specific threats. When we introduce something new, something they've never encountered, they have no defense. I've created a virus based on Earth biology. It targets their genetic rigidity. It won't kill them immediately, but it will make them sick, confused, weak. How do we deploy it? Yuna asked. We need to get it aboard their main command ship. If we infect their command structure, the virus will spread through their entire fleet. Everyone was quiet for a moment. Finally, Minho spoke. That's a suicide mission. Maybe, Yuna said. But if it works, we might actually win this war. I volunteer. No, Ji-won said firmly. We need you flying. I'll lead the ground team. Colonel, you're too valuable. Captain Kang, that's an order. Ji-won's voice was steel. You keep fighting in space. Let me worry about the ground mission. Yuna wanted to argue, but knew better. Yes, Colonel. The meeting ended. Yuna sat in her cockpit, looking at the stars. Ion-Wu's tags hung around her neck, cold against her skin. They were winning small victories. But the war was far from over. Her radio crackled. Ghost Leader, this is Wanderer. We've got incoming. Looks like the Varath are massing ships for something big. Yuna checked her sensors. Her blood ran cold. Hundreds of Varath ships were moving toward Luna. This wasn't a patrol or a supply run. This was an invasion fleet. All units, this is Ghost Leader. Yuna broadcast on all frequencies. Battle stations. They're coming for Luna. Everyone who can fight, get ready. This is going to be bad. She powered up her fighter and turned toward the approaching fleet. Behind her, every functional human ship did the same. They were outnumbered 20-1, but they were still standing. Still fighting. Still human. Let's show them what that means, Yuna whispered, and flew toward the enemy. The battle for Luna began with fire. 200 Varath warships descended on the moon like a hammer. Their weapons lit up the darkness, tearing through human defensive positions. Luna Colony's shields held for 11 minutes, then shattered under the assault. Yuna's fighter screamed through the chaos. Around her, 12 human ships fought against impossible odds. They moved like dancers in the storm, dodging, striking, surviving against all logic. Ghost 3 is down, someone shouted over the radio. Ghost 7, engines failing. Yuna gritted her teeth and locked onto an enemy cruiser. Her missile struck its bridge. The ship spun out of control, crashing into another Varith vessel. 2 kills. Only 198 ships to go. All fighters fall back to Luna surface. Colonel Jiwan's voice cut through the noise. Let them come to us. Make them fight on our ground. Yuna pulled her fighter into a dive toward Luna's gray surface. Enemy fire chased her, missing by meters. She landed hard in a crater and scrambled out of the cockpit. The colony was already under attack. Vorith dropships were landing, disgorging soldiers that marched through the lunar dust. But human defenders were ready. Specialist Jisoo Kim crouched. In Tunnel 7, his hands steady on his rifle, despite the fear crawling up his spine. He was 19 years old. He'd been a student 7 months ago. Now he was the only thing standing between the enemy and 300 civilians hiding deeper in the tunnel. Contact! Someone yelled. Varith soldiers appeared at the tunnel entrance, tall and armored and terrifying. Jisoo fired. His bullets, modified with Varith technology, punched through their armor. 3 soldiers fell. Then 6. Then 10. But more kept coming. Fall back, his sergeant ordered. The other soldiers retreated deeper into the tunnel. Jisoo stayed. Someone had to slow the enemy down. He grabbed mining charges from his pack and set them in the tunnel ceiling. The Varith soldiers charged. Jisoo waited until they were close, then detonated the charges. The tunnel collapsed. Rock and metal buried the enemy soldiers. But the explosion also trapped Jisoo on the wrong side. He could hear them digging through the rubble. Could hear their voices, strange and alien. His radio was dead. His left leg was broken. But he still had ammunition and 1 more mining charge. Come on, he whispered to the darkness. I'm still here. Outside, Yuna fought through the lunar base. Her enhanced body let her move faster than the Varith expected. She shot 2 soldiers, then used one's weapon to kill 3 more. Blood covered her flight suit. Some of it was hers. Captain Kang. Dr. Nari's voice came through her working earpiece. The command center is under attack. Colonel Jiwan is leading a defense, but they're being overrun. On my way, Yuna said. She ran through corridors filled with smoke and bodies. Some human, some Vorith. All dead. The command center doors were blown open. Inside, Colonel Jiwan fought beside 20 soldiers against twice as many Varith warriors. The colonel was bleeding from a dozen wounds, but still standing, still shooting, still giving orders. West wall is breached. Cover that entrance. Yuna dove into the fight. Her bullets found targets with perfect accuracy. The enhancement process had changed her in ways she was still discovering. She could see targets before they appeared. Could react before her mind consciously registered the threat. A Varith soldier tried to shoot Jaiwang from behind. Yuna threw a knife that caught him in the throat. The colonel turned and nodded thanks, then went back to fighting. Slowly, impossibly, they pushed the enemy back. Bodies piled up. The floor was slick with blood, but the command center held. This is Admiral Dongwu Shin. A voice crackled over the emergency channel. All remaining ships, form up on me. We're going to break their formation. Yuna looked at a working monitor. The indomitable Humanities. Last battleship was accelerating toward the center of the Varith fleet. It was a suicide run. Admiral Shin knew it. Everyone knew it. He's buying us time, Jiwan said quietly. Don't waste it. The Indomitable plowed through enemy lines like an ancient warship. Its weapons fired until they melted. Its shields failed, but the ship kept going. It rammed into 3 Varith cruisers, and all 4 ships exploded in a light bright enough to see from Luna's surface. The Varith formation broke. Just for a moment. But a moment was enough. All units, Counterattack now, Jiwan ordered. Yuna ran for her fighter. It was damaged, but still functional. She launched into space one more time. Around her, every human ship that could still fly joined the attack. They were outnumbered 5-1 now, instead of 20-1. They still had a chance. The battle raged for 6 more hours. Slowly, the Vorath were pushed back. Not because humans were stronger or had better technology, but because humans refused to quit. Every time a ship was destroyed, another took its place. Every time a position was lost, defenders counterattacked. In Tunnel 7, Jisoo had held for 18 hours alone. He'd run out of bullets 12 hours ago. He'd used his last mining charge 10 hours ago. Now he fought with a broken piece of metal railing, striking at any Vorath that tried to dig through the rubble. His leg was shattered. His ribs were broken. He'd lost so much blood that he should have been unconscious. But he was still standing when rescue teams finally reached him. "How?" one rescuer asked, staring at the dead Vorath soldiers surrounding Jisoo. "They wanted to pass," Jisoo said simply. "I didn't let them." The Vorath command ship landed on Luna's surface. General Vexthul strode through the lunar base with 50 elite warriors. He was done observing from space. These humans had embarrassed him long enough. He would kill their leaders personally. He found Yuna in the central hub. She was alone, battered, bleeding. Her fighter had been shot down 30 minutes ago. She'd crashed into the hub's landing bay and crawled out. Most of her bones were broken. Her right arm didn't work properly. She could barely see through the blood in her eyes, but she was standing. Vexthul's 50 warriors spread out, weapons aimed at her. The general walked forward slowly, studying her. She was so small, so fragile. How had this species caused him so much trouble? "You should be dead," Vexthul said. His translator made his voice sound mechanical. "My scientists calculated 99.7% fatality. You lack our strength, our technology, our numbers." He leaned closer. "Humans can't survive." Yuna looked up at him. Blood dripped from her mouth, but she smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who'd seen hell and walked out the other side. "Then why am I still standing?" she asked. Vexthul's 4 eyes widened. He reached for his weapon, but Yuna moved first. She'd been waiting for him to get close. Her left hand pressed a button on her belt. Dr. Nari's virus, loaded into dozens of hidden emitters throughout the base, released simultaneously. The air filled with Earth bacteria, viruses, microorganisms that had evolved over billions of years. The Vorath had no defense. Vex still stumbled. His warriors dropped their weapons, choking. Their perfect immune systems tried to fight, but they didn't know how to adapt to threats they'd never encountered. Yuna pulled a knife with her working hand. She drove it into Vexthul's neck, right where his armor joints connected. The general fell to his knees, purple blood spilling onto the lunar dust. "You wanted to know what humans are?" Yuna whispered, pulling her knife free. "We're survivors. That's what we do. We adapt. We endure. We remember." She thought of Yunwu, of Admiral Shin, of everyone who'd died fighting. "And we never stop fighting." Vexthul tried to speak, but only blood came out. He looked at Yuna with something that might have been respect or fear. Then his eyes went dark. Yuna collapsed beside him. Medical teams found her minutes later, barely alive. They carried her to the emergency center, working frantically to save her life. Outside, the battle was ending. The Vorath fleet was retreating. Their command structure was dead. Their soldiers were infected with diseases they couldn't fight. For the first time since the invasion, humanity had won, but the cost had been terrible. Luna Colony was half destroyed, thousands dead. Only 3 human warships remained functional. In the medical bay, Yuna opened her eyes. Colonel Jiwan stood beside her bed, bandaged and limping. "We won," Jiwan said simply. Did we? Yuna's voice was weak. How many did we lose? Too many. Jiwan's face was grim. But we're still here. You're still here. And that matters. Yuna thought about that. About standing while everyone around you falls. About surviving when survival should be impossible. About being human in a universe that said humans were prey. Yeah, she whispered. That matters. Outside, Earth hung in space, still covered in green poison clouds. But deep in the ruins, humans were rebuilding, adapting, surviving. The war wasn't over. But humanity had proven something important. They could be beaten. They could be broken. But they couldn't be stopped. 6 months after the Battle of Luna, Yuna stood in the rebuilt observation deck and watched Earth slowly heal. The green poison clouds were thinning. Scientists said it would take years, maybe decades, for the planet to fully recover. But already, plants were growing through the ruins. Animals were returning. Life, as it always did, was finding a way. Beautiful, isn't it? A voice said behind her. Yuna turned. Her brother Taiyang walked toward her, limping slightly but alive. They'd found him 3 months ago in the underground tunnels beneath Seoul, leading a community of 2,000 survivors. He'd adapted to the poison air so well that he barely needed filters anymore. I didn't think I'd see you again, Yuna admitted. They hugged carefully. Both of them still had injuries that hadn't fully healed. I told you I'd come back, Taiyang said with a smile. Takes more than alien invaders to stop a Kang. They stood together, looking at their home world. 11 billion humans had died in the invasion. 11 billion voices silenced. But 3 billion remained. 3 billion who had changed, adapted, become something new. How's the reconstruction going? Yuna asked. Faster than expected, Taiyang replied. People who survived the poison are stronger now. We can work longer, need less food, heal quicker. Minho's crews have already rebuilt entire neighborhoods in Bizen. They're calling him the mayor now. Yuna smiled. Minho Choi, the construction worker who became a resistance leader. And Yoonji? Training new snipers. She's got 50 students. Says, if we're attacked again, she wants every human to be able to shoot back. Taiyang paused. The Varth aren't coming back, are they? Not here, Yuna said. But they're still out there. Still conquering other worlds. We intercepted their communications last week. They've declared our system forbidden. They tell their soldiers that Earth is where armies go to die. Good. Let them be afraid. Down on Earth's surface in the rebuilt city of New Seoul, memorials covered an entire district. Millions of names carved into black stone. Yuna visited every month, finding Hyun-woo's name among the fallen pilots. She'd leave flowers and tell him about the victories, the progress, the slow return to life. Today, recruits were training in the plaza beside the memorials. Young people who'd been children during the invasion. They moved differently than humans before the war. Faster, stronger. Each one had been born or changed by the Varth toxin. They were humanity's next generation. Specialist Jisoo Kim walked through the recruits, checking their form. He was an instructor now, teaching tunnel warfare tactics. His leg had healed, though he still walked with a slight limp. The doctor said he'd killed 23 Varth soldiers in Tunnel 7 before rescue arrived. Jisoo didn't remember most of it. He just remembered standing because he had to. Tighten that stance. He called to a recruit. The enemy is bigger than you. Use that. Be smaller, faster. Make size a disadvantage. The recruits adjusted. They learned quickly. They had to. The universe was dangerous, and humanity could never forget that lesson. In orbit around Earth, new ships were being built. The Indomitable II was the largest, a dreadnought incorporating everything humans had learned from captured Varth technology. but it wasn't designed like Vorath ships. It was smaller, faster, more adaptable. It could be configured for combat, exploration, or rescue in hours instead of months. Dr. Nari Song walked through the shipyards with engineers, inspecting the new vessels. She'd been promoted to Director of Advanced Research. Her team was working on dozens of projects, all focused on one goal: making sure humanity could survive the next invasion. "The bioshields are working better than expected," one engineer reported. "We can deploy a virus cloud that will disable any Vorath ship within range." "Good," Nari said. "But don't stop there. The Vorath aren't the only species in the galaxy. We need to be ready for anything." In his ship patrolling the outer system, Commander Ji-Hoon Yoon smiled at his new sensor readings. His crew had found 3 derelict Vorath vessels, abandoned when their fleet retreated. Salvage teams were already pulling them apart, learning their secrets. "Captain," his communications officer called. "We're receiving a transmission. Unknown origin. Not Vorath." Ji-Hoon tensed. "Put it through." A face appeared on the screen. "Not human? Not Vorath. Something else." The alien had blue skin and 3 eyes, and when it spoke, the translator struggled to keep up. "Human vessel. This is the Calvary Republic. We intercepted your broadcasts about the Vorath defeat. We didn't believe it at first. No species has ever repelled a full Vorath invasion." "We did," Ji-Hoon said carefully. "Yes, we see that now." The alien's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "The Vorath have enslaved 17 of our worlds. We've tried to resist, but we're not warriors. We don't adapt like you do. We're sending this message to ask, would humanity help us fight back?" Ji-Hoon was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I'll relay your message to Earth, but I think I know what they'll say." On Luna, Colonel Ji-Won Lee, now promoted to general, sat in a meeting with human leaders from across the solar system. They discussed the Calvary transmission. Some wanted to help immediately. Others urged caution. The debate went on for hours. Finally, Yuna spoke. She was an admiral now, commander of the entire human space fleet. "We spent 7 months fighting for our survival. We know what it's like to face extinction while the galaxy watches. If we don't help the Calvary, we're no better than the Vorath." "But we're still rebuilding," someone argued. "We've barely recovered from our own war." "We're recovered enough," Yuna said firmly. "And more importantly, we're ready. The Vorath think we're beaten. Let's show them we're not just survivors. We're fighters. And we remember what they did to us." The vote was close, but humanity decided. They would help the Calvary. They would fight back against the Vorath. Not for revenge, though that was part of it, but because someone needed to stand up to Empire. And humans had learned how. 3 weeks later, Yuna stood on the bridge of the Indomitable II as it prepared to leave the solar system. 30 ships would make the journey. Small by Vorath standards. But these weren't normal ships, and they weren't crewed by normal soldiers. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her tactical officer said. Yuna looked at Earth one last time. She thought about everyone who'd died. Everyone who'd fought. Everyone who'd refused to quit when quitting seemed like the only logical choice. "Open a channel to all ships," she ordered. "Channel open." "Admiral." Yuna spoke clearly, her voice reaching every human on every ship. 7 months ago, the Vorath invaded our home. They said we were weak. They said we couldn't survive. They were wrong. She paused. "We lost billions. We lost our cities, our planet, our innocence. But we didn't lose ourselves. We adapted. We endured. We won." On the ships, sailors stood straighter. Pilots gripped their controls tighter. "Now others face what we faced," Yuna continued. "The Calvary are being slaughtered by the same enemy. They asked for our help. We're going to give it to them. Not because we're heroes. Not because we're perfect. But because we remember. We remember what it's like to fight alone. And we're not going to let that happen to anyone else. She looked at her crew, saw Taiyang at the weapons station, saw Jisoo in the marine section, saw dozens of faces she'd fought beside. The Vorath learned one lesson from invading Earth. They learned that humans don't quit. Today, we're going to teach them another lesson. We're not just survivors anymore. We're warriors. And we protect those who can't protect themselves. She took a breath. All ships, prepare for jump. Let's go remind the Vorath why they declared our system forbiddance. The fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. 30 human ships vanished from the solar system, heading toward the Calvary worlds. Behind them, Earth continued to heal. Cities were rebuilt. Children were born. Life went on. In the Memorial District of New Seoul, someone left fresh flowers at Hyam Woo's name. The wind carried the petals across the plaza where recruits trained, where survivors rebuilt, where humans prepared for whatever came next. On her private channel, Yuna spoke quietly to the empty space where Hyungwoo used to fly beside her. We're still here, old friend. Still standing. Still fighting. The Vorath wanted to erase us. Instead, they taught us what we really are. She touched the identification tags around her neck. We're not the strongest species. We're not the smartest or the oldest. But we're the ones who refuse to die. We're the ones who adapt and survive, and keep getting back up no matter how many times we're knocked down. The stars stretched ahead of her, full of dangers and challenges and enemies, but also full of hope, full of possibilities, full of species that needed help against the darkness. We're human, Yuna whispered, and we're done being prey. The Indomitable II and its fleet pushed deeper into the galaxy. Behind them, Earth shone blue and green and beautiful, healing under the sun. Above it, orbital defenses watched the stars. Below it, billions of adapted humans lived and worked and prepared. The Vorath had invaded thinking humans were easy prey. They'd killed billions. They'd poisoned an entire world. They'd tried to exterminate an entire species. They'd failed. And now humanity was coming for them, not for revenge, though that would be sweet. Not for conquest, because humans had learned what empire cost, but for justice, for protection, for the simple, stubborn belief that no one should face extinction alone. The universe was about to learn what the Vorath had learned too late.